All right. So welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. And we are going to get started today. So this is our first of many boot camps that we're going to have this week. So welcome to the first one. Just want you to know who is welcoming you here today. So we have Dr. Anwar Nader Direct with us today, and she is the Assistant Dean for Student Affairs. And I am with you, Dr. Chandra Carr. I am the Director of Practicum Education. We also have with you Dr. Barbara Hughes, who is assistant to the Director of Practicum Education as well. So we are here today presenting information about Practicum for you today, and we hope that the information that we share with you today will truly help you with your first step and glimpse into Practicum. So one of the things that we definitely want to talk about and share with you is about communication, which is very important and is very critical, and it's a good tool to have when you are looking at placement. Since Practicum is new to many of you, making sure you receive information is also vital for your success with Practicum. With that being said, email is the primary way that we will communicate with you. In regard to your email, please make sure that you always check your Wayne State email. We do not send information via email to your personal account. We send information to your Wayne State account. So please make sure that you check your Wayne State account often, because we do not want you to miss out on any information. And when I say any information. Also, when you start your placement 9 times out of 10 is going to create an email for you there as well. Please make sure you check that email often when you are at your placement. Now, when I say check often, I mean at least 2 to 3 times a day. And that is your Wayne State email, in addition to the email that your placement will set up for you when you are there. Please make sure you check that, because we do not want you to miss any important or vital information. You are also going to have a Practicum instructor. We want you to communicate with that person as well. So your Practicum instructor is considered to be your supervisor at your placement. You will need to meet with them at least once a week for an hour when you are there. Now, there may be other people that you work with closely for your day-to-day, and that is fine. But for your Practicum instructor, your supervisor, you need to meet with them at least 1 hour a week, okay? In that meeting, please take advantage of that time to discuss any social work questions that you may have, go over any social work themes that you want to discuss. That is really where the learning is going to take place. You should be able to feel comfortable and confident to speak freely and clearly about anything social work related that you have. This is also the time to talk about and receive any feedback from that individual about how you're doing and any improvements that you may need to make, okay? Also, you want to make sure you speak to your liaison. Now, by now, you should know who your liaison is. That person should have reached out to you and made themselves known via email or phone call by this time. This person should touch base with you periodically just to check on you, see how you're doing, see how your practicum is. If you have any questions or concerns, the person that you want to reach out to get those things answered. Now, if you're unsure who your liaison is at this point, you will be able to reach out to our office, the Practicum office, and we will be able to let you know who that person is. But that will be your go-to person if you have any questions or concerns about your practicum. Please do not hesitate to ask for help. That is what we are here to do. We are here to help you. And please reach out to your liaison if you have any questions or concerns. We want to be able to assist you in any way possible. We want to catch any issues or concerns that you may have in the beginning when they are small, before they blow up to anything or any major issues, okay? Also, please note that the placements will not be changed unless there are any emergent issues regarding health or safety or termination. We really like to problem solve and work with you through any issues that you may have that may arise at the placement. We have a lot of resources that are available to the students and a lot of support systems that are available to you. So we want to utilize those resources and support systems. And that's why we are here, so that we can work through them with you. So please reach out to us, reach out to your liaisons. Anything occurs, that's what we're here for. Okay. So I will turn everything over to Dr. Barbara Hughes, and she will take it over from here.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's so fun to look at the list of people who are in this session. It's like, I know a lot of you I've worked with, one-on-one to get your placement set up for the coming year. I saw a lot of you at the in-person orientation last week or the online orientation. So I'm really excited for you in the year ahead. This really is to me, even when I was in school, it was the best part of social work education. It's like, finally, where the rubber meets the road, I get to walk out what I've been learning and really dig into this profession that I love so much. So I am really excited for you. And I think, Dr. Carr, correct me if I'm wrong regarding their liaison, it should be noted on their IPT page, correct? If you don't know who your liaison is, go to your IPT page. It should be listed in there. If you don't have a liaison, that's when you would reach out to Dr. Carr. And she can work with you from there. So I just wanted to do that, circle back. It also dawns on me, I was integrally involved in setting up the boot camps that are all this week. And it occurs to me that there's going to be some overlap. Like tomorrow afternoon, I'm doing a session on working with your practicum instructor, and a piece of that will be talking about communication. And Dr. Carr was already talking about that, and probably with the liaison. And so if you're like me, I need those multiple reminders. So I am not ashamed to say some of this might even duplicate, but it's all designed to help you understand and hit the ground with a little more sure-footedness. We know it's a time of excitement, but also high anxiety. I did a long training for practicum instructors last semester. They're a little nervous too and a little excited. Everybody looks forward to the year ahead. So with that, I just wanted to make sure that there was no confusion over the number of hours that our students need in practicum. BSW students, you need 230 hours by the end of this semester, which is December 20th. And I saw a question in the chat, the supervision that you get with your practicum instructor, yes, that counts towards your practicum hours. And then you need 230 for the winter semester as well. MSW students, it's 225 at the end of the semester and winter semester. And, I've talked with many of you about this. It averages about 16 hours a week. And that's just our best way to help you kind of get your head wrapped around the kind of commitment that this is going to take. But we know that some weeks you might put in more hours, some weeks you might put in less, you might be sick if you're in a school, they might have a day off or weather related. But so the number you're shooting for by the end of the semester is that 230 if you're a BSW, 225 if you're an MSW. And then, just to reiterate what Dr. Carr was talking about, that 1 hour of supervision that you should be getting with your practicum instructor is designed to give you the support that you need to continue to learn and grow. You're not expected to know everything. You're not expected really to know anything with regard to the agency that you're placed in. And so supervision is your opportunity to just really pour into yourself and your placement and what you're learning, what you're struggling with, how you're acting, reacting. And so we really push hard the need for supervision. And I did it last week with the practical instructors as well. I said, this is so important to their learning. And for those of you that I met with, like for your placement, remember I talked with you about, it's like, I know you care about where you're placed, and we do try to put you where you'd like to go, but really, my goal is so that you get opportunities to develop those skills and get good supervision. That will actually help you a lot in your learning. So be sure to advocate for yourself for that. A couple of the sessions over the course of the week are going to talk about that self-advocacy piece, particularly my session tomorrow. So if you can jump onto that, that would be great.
Thank you, Dr. Hughes.
I think this was mine as well.
Yeah.
Yep, to talk about time management. And this also reminds me of what I just said. There's going to be a session on Friday afternoon about work-life balance, time management. And so there'll be a deeper dive into this whole topic on Friday for that hour and a half. But certainly it's a good idea to think about it on the front end. The thing that I've shared with many students along the way this past spring and summer is that students often underestimate the amount of work that practicum actually takes. It's so much more than just getting your hours. There's assignments and there's process recordings and there's supervision and site visits and evaluations and all kinds of things. And so it's going to be really important for you to be as organized as possible and manage your time accordingly. It might take you a while to kind of figure out what that balance is for you and what that looks like because you're just getting into your classes and your practicum. But as you go along, just think about, the extent to which you can plan ahead and set goals and prioritize. If it were me, I prioritize like by date. Okay, what's due here, what's due here, what's due here. If that works for you, that's great. If something else works for you, like I said, be organized, take breaks as needed. Self-care is so important in social work and social work practice, and we try to model it as your staff and administrators and your agency should demonstrate that, but it's also a good time to start doing that to take care of yourself. So that then you can be fully available for the clients that you're going to be working with. So just a exclamation point about time management and the best of your ability. And if you're struggling with that, we have this system in place to support you, and that you could reach out to your practicum instructor. Your next person would be your liaison. We're all here to help you succeed, and that even includes things like this.
Thank you so much.
That's me. All right. Before I start, I want to, and I appreciate you all putting information in the chat. Someone asked about keeping track of your hours, and I know we'll talk about it later. IPT does track, however, does require that you actually go in and put in your hours. So IPT adds them up, but you have to go in and put in the dates and the number of hours you put in for each date. So just to clarify that. And then another question was, if your liaison hasn't reached out to you, yes, absolutely, you can reach out to them. I mean, this is the person that's going to be responsible for giving your grade in practicum. So you want to get to know them. If they haven't reached out to you, by all means, reach out to them. I absolutely encourage students to do that. All right, so let me move on to this. So again, my name is Anwar Durak. I'm, as Dr. Carr mentioned, I'm the Assistant Dean for Student Affairs in the school. I will share that I used to have the role of Director of Practicum, and another role that I had that I'm bringing it up because I'm going to reference it. For about 10 years, I was asked to sit, I was appointed to be on the board of social work for the state of Michigan. And I did that and worked with social workers who were licensed in the state of Michigan. And sometimes those social workers behaved in ways that were considered unethical. And then I ended up working with them as they got sanctioned by the state. And so I say that because as social workers, as social work students, you're not licensed in the state of Michigan. However, because you're in a professional program like the Masters of Social Work program, and because we're accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, the Michigan Licensing and Regulatory Affairs recognizes that you are a student And the expectation is that you behave in a professional manner consistent with the policies and expectations that we have as a school of social work. So while you're not licensed, you are expected to behave just as a professional social worker would behave. And if you behave in ways that are inconsistent with the Code of Ethics, with the NASW, National Association of Social Work Code of Ethics, or with the state of Michigan Public Health Code, the state doesn't take the onus to work with you to talk about professional expectations. We do that. And so it is important for you to be aware that you are expected to behave in ways that are appropriate, consistent with those codes that I mentioned. Now, all of you, if you are going to be starting practicum, have signed a form that was part of your completing the IPT page. There were two things that you signed. There was a statement of acknowledgement, and I hope that you all read it. I hope you didn't just checked it off and said, I read this. There was another form called Professional and Technical Standards. And I am going to say to you, if you just check that off, I'm going to say that after this, sometime this week, my recommendation is to go back into IPT and read those two documents. I'm going to name them again. It was the Statement of Acknowledgement form, and the second form was called the Professional and Technical Standards. You are going to be held accountable to what is stated in those two forms. And if you read them, they talk about expectations about attire, respect, integrity, timeliness and attendance, taking responsibility, and I'll talk about licensure, and I'll talk about gatekeeping in a second, but it addresses each one of these areas. So I'm going to talk a little bit about both of them. And if we have time, I'm going to take questions. I want people to feel comfortable with the information I'm sharing. And you all know, right? You're in this program, the expectation is that when you are in your agency, you're not going to be working in silo. You're going to be working with your supervisor, who's the practicum instructor, and the clients you might be assigned to obviously are going to be clients that come to the agency for services. So these are pretend clients that sometimes some classes you might have opportunities to, and this will increase actually with AI. Like if you have clients, what might you say if they say X, Y, and Z? When you're in your practicum, as Dr. Carr mentioned, this is where the rubber meets the road. You have clients that you're responsible for. So now you're not going to be thrown to the wolves. You're going to obviously have a lot of folks at the agency. There'll be opportunities to get acclimated. There's a lot of opportunities to get opportunities to know what the policies are before they give you assignments, and folks that will provide training and those kinds of things. Because this is like you would go to a job, the attire's most likely going to be business professional. They'll ask. I've had students that were working with young kids and or worked in a shelter area where jeans made sense, but don't make assumptions. If you're unsure about attire, then ask about the dress code for your internship, rather than making assumptions and then feeling uncomfortable. If you don't know, the best way to think about it is doing business professional, and then if it's different, then your supervisor gives you additional information, you can always adjust to what they might need, but I would go with that. I'll mention that respect and integrity obviously go hand in hand. These are two areas that are identified in the professional and technical standards, and the importance of really recognizing that you are, you're going to be working with a lot of different individuals, and depending on where you're placed, you might be working with really young kids all the way to older adults. So the kind of work that you're going to be doing is going to vary. Perhaps what you bring with you to the table will impact how you might interact, because your supervisor might say, oh, I see you've had experience in X, Y, and Z. Are you comfortable doing this? This is where that hour of supervision that Dr. Carr mentioned becomes really important, and working with your practicum instructor to put together your learning plan. For student A, the learning plan might look really different than student B, in part because of where they're placed, in part because of what the students might bring with them. But you have every opportunity to ask questions and to, if you're uncomfortable with something, to make sure that you bring that up with your practicum instructor. And in some cases, if you need to bring in your liaison as well. Your how you come across is going to be oftentimes be viewed by clients you work with, and the integrity that you maintain for if you're, again, there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. It's important for agencies and for clients that you work with to know that you're a student, and for them to know that you're learning. And there's absolutely, you're encouraged to say that. Agencies take students knowing that you have to start at some point. And I will tell you that clients have a great deal of respect for having students there. They know that you want to be there. They know that you're going to do everything you can to assist them. And you want to make sure that if you don't know an answer to something, don't just say, I don't know. I'm going to ask my supervisor, and they can always come back and give them that information. If you are running late, if you think you're going to miss some time, it is really, really important for you to inform your practicum instructor that you're running late. This is as if you were in a job and you weren't going to be able to go and you don't call in. In some cases, that's grounds for dismissal. I mean, everything that you're doing in your placement is preparing you for professional practice. So you want to make sure that you take that into consideration. If something happens and you're going to miss, or you're ill, or I had a student one year and said, well, I'm just not going to go into my practicum because I have a paper to write. Well, your practicum is like a class. So if you don't go to your practicum, then you're not attending that class. And then that could also impact how you're doing in that class, and certainly your grade in that class. So just because you're going to an agency doesn't mean this isn't a class. It is a class like your other classes. How it's organized is different. So, and if you miss a class, you need to be very clear that you don't get those hours. You have to make them up. Even if you're ill, you need to work with your practicum instructor. As Dr. Hughes said, 230 hours at the end of the semester for BSWs, and then 225 clock hours for MSWs are required. So if you do become ill and you have to you don't get those 8 hours, you have to make them up. At the end, you have to make sure that you put in the 225 and 230 clock hours. And that is consistent with the Council on Social Work Education, which is the body that accredits programs. So we don't have the ability to waive that requirement. You have to put in those hours. So your attendance becomes really important. Make sure that you work that out with your practicum instructor. You can't just say, well, I'm just not going to come in today, I'm going to come in tomorrow. Because remember, agencies have to then, the supervisor has to make sure that they have enough work for you to do on the days that you're going to be there. So you can't just pick and choose the days you're going to be there. The days that you say you're going to be there are the days that the agency is going to plan for you to be there. So they might be making some adjustments, or they might the supervisor might be putting together some opportunities. So if you have to make a change, it really needs to be in consultation with your supervisor, rather than just you making that decision. So please be mindful of that. That is part of you taking responsibility, right? You're demonstrating to this agency that you understand the expectations of the practicum, that you understand what your role is, and that you appreciate what is happening at the agency, and when you might need additional support or training in some areas. So that hour a week that was mentioned is an opportunity for you to go in with things. So don't expect that the supervisor is just going to come in with things for you to do. That is an opportunity for you to go into that session and say, here are some things that I'd like to discuss. Here's a concern that I have. Or, and on my learning plan, we talked about me being able to help co-lead this educational group. I haven't had a chance to do that, and it's almost halfway through the semester. Can we talk about that? So, right, that is part of taking responsibility for your own learning and being a partner with your supervisor, and making sure that what your need in terms of your education is part of your learning, and it's discussed. There's nothing wrong with at any one point in the semester to go back and look at your learning plan and talking about whether you need to adjust that in any way, or address it and identify whether you need to make sure that you're doing what you said that you are going to be doing. So with respect to not being licensed, right? So you do not need to be licensed to be an intern. Most organizations recognize that you're a student, that you don't need to be licensed, and that you are doing the work as a social work student intern under the supervision of someone who is a MSW who has at least 2 years of post-degree experience and is licensed in the state. There are some exceptions. We have some Canadian students, so there may be some differences, but that for the most part, your practicum instructor is that social worker. And the state of Michigan recognizes, because it's written in the public health code, that student interns don't need to be licensed. I occasionally will have agencies that will ask students to get licensed at the social service technician level. If that happens, talk with us. We're happy to talk with you about that. But I would say that's more rare than anything. Most agencies are just fine. Again, as a student, you don't have the option to be licensed anyway. There are some jurisdictions that allow students to get licensure, but Michigan does not have that. Once you graduate, you'll be able to apply for your limited license, and we'll talk. You don't need to know those details. We'll have many opportunities for you to learn about that process on your way to completing your MSW degree. And then lastly, I would say that I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation that we're accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, which you'll hear your faculty talking about. Council on Social Work Education, or CSWE. So like you've probably read on our website that we're CSW accredited. We just got reaffirmed actually last year, so we're good for 8 years, and then every 8 years, schools of social work get reaffirmed. Part of our accreditation standards say that we have to make sure that students meet certain criteria. Faculty have to make sure that you are meeting competencies in their classes. So each class has competencies that they try to meet. You'll see that on your syllabus in your classes. In practicum, all of the competencies are addressed. So when you do your learning plan for your practicum, you'll see that there are 10 competencies listed, and then there are practice like outcomes that you have to demonstrate to show that you've met those competencies. They're going to be unique to you because of the work you'll be doing at that agency. So each of you will have that learning plan, and each of you will have outcomes that are connected to the learning, to the outcome, to the learning plan. And so you'll have to make sure that you identify outcomes that fit what you're supposed to do. If you are not able to demonstrate those competencies, such as, for example, I mentioned earlier that your attendance is you don't go and you don't call in, that there is, under that competency, one of the areas that you're evaluated on is that you're timely in your attendance, and that you first of all, you're timely, and that you attend regularly. If you end up not attending and you don't call in, that's an area that you might get marked down on. I'm giving you that because it's fairly concrete, right? You can look at that. Some of the other ones are going to be looked at a little bit differently depending on where you're placed at your agency. That makes your practicum instructor a gatekeeper. It makes your liaison a gatekeeper. Your faculty are gatekeepers, as is Dr. Carr, Dr. Hughes, and myself in some way, in the way that we interact with you. And the role is there to make sure that you meet the criteria to move forward in your program, and that you demonstrate competency so that when you graduate, you have what is necessary to work competently and ethically with clients, many of whom are clients that are vulnerable and oftentimes underserved. So we do that to make sure that you have what you need so that you feel confident and comfortable in practicing when you graduate. You'll hear more about that in your classes, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a overview, and I'm happy to answer questions if we have time. Thank you, Dr. Carr.
Anybody have a question they would like to share? If you do, you can feel free to come off mute and share your question, or you can continue to type them in the chat and we can read them off. Either way you feel comfortable, it's fine. We're happy to answer them. Yes.
So, I just popped onto my Run IPT account there just to look and see if I could see the form for the time logs. And I went to forms and there's nothing there for me. I even clicked add new form and it showed that I had no forms there for me. So I'm just wondering how to complete those, especially since we're going to have to complete them for these next 4 days.
She's correct. They're not up yet, Dr. Carr. I think tomorrow, our staff is going to put it there. You'll see probably tomorrow the time log will be there, the learning plan, and the first process recording. All of those three things will be posted tomorrow.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, and then on Thursday, that's where you will see the video of how to complete them. And then our presenter, Nancy, will go over how to complete them as well. Yes, Megan.
Hi, thanks. I'm not going to be able to attend the session tomorrow about working with your practicum instructor, so I just want to ask this quick question. Will the instructor, hi Barbara, it's you. You're my instructor. Will you be reaching out to me to set up time, or is that on the students to do, like, what does that process look like, I guess?
Sure. Where are you placed, Megan? Remind me.
I am placed at an agency called Journey to Healing.
And so your practicum, oh, let's see, hold on. Let me just do this real quick so I don't make a mistake. It looks, Shardaya Fuquay, is the person who is listed as your practicum instructor. So that is the person you would reach out to.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was you because you're on my like registration. Okay, I'm
Right,
following
right.
you now. Okay,
Yeah. Okay. It's your agency. Your practicum instructor is your agency-based person.
got it. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Carr, there's a question in the chat. Someone asked if there's a test after every session. I'm assuming they mean these sessions.
So thank you. So for clarification, if you come to the in-person session, which this is considered in-person because you are live and in color with us, you do not have to take a test because you are with us and talking to us. But all of these sessions are recorded. And so the recordings will go on to the Canvas sites. And so for those individuals who were not able to be with us live, so to speak, they will be able to watch these recordings. And so if they watch the recordings, then they do have to take the test that Dr. Barbara Hughes so graciously completed and put up there. And so that's how they are able to get their hours by taking the test, and then they get a certificate of some kind to prove that they have taken it, and that's how they get their hours. So if you are with us live in person, so to speak, no, there's no test that you have to take, but if you watch the recordings, then yes, you do have to take the test in order to get your hours. If Dr. Barbara Hughes want to add on to that, she definitely can.
So are we putting these sessions into our IPT form?
No. So because you are here, I know that you're here because of Zoom. And so you need to just, yeah, you can let your practicum instructor know that you're here and they will be able to add that to your hours. But I have verification that you are here because you're here and it is automatically connected to Zoom.
Thank you.
Yep.
There's also a question about the forms I mentioned. So let me clarify those. I mentioned two different forms. One was the statement of acknowledgement, and the second one was the professional technical standards. Both of those are on your IPT page. So if you go to your IPT page, underneath your name and address, the next thing is your resume, and under that, it should say statement of acknowledgement. There's a link that you can click on. And then under that is the professional and technical standards, and there's a link there. So both of those forms are on your IPT page, and you're able to go in and link to both of those separately.
Thank you for that.
Sure,
Sorry.
no problem. Dr.
There are a
Cards,
couple
it's asking, another one is, will you guys be taking attendance for this to go towards our hours for us that are in the meeting? And then how will we know we got the hours if we attended?
So yes, again, as stated before, it automatically gives me the names through Zoom. So I have the names of everybody that's here, because once you log in, it automatically records your name. So if you're here, I got you. But you do need to let your practicum instructor know that you were here as well, because they keep track of your hours too. But I do have verification that you are here, because when you automatically sign into Zoom, it tracks you that way as well. But yes, please still tell your practicum instructor that you were here.
I'm going to jump in because a couple of students have said they don't have a liaison yet. I know, Dr. Carr, you still have some to assign yet for students who are placed later in the process, since you assigned the original one. So I just wanted to confirm that there are still some others that you need to assign, and that students should expect that'll be soon.
Yeah, I guess I assigned everybody, unless you were placed within the last week that I was on vacation. I'm just waiting for those practicum and placement assistants to send me that email to let me know. But other than that, everybody else has been assigned a liaison. So if you're not sure, again, just reach out to the office and let me know. But yep, everybody should have a liaison unless you were just placed within this last week.
Dr. Carr, can you talk about when the recordings will go out? There's a bunch of questions about that.
So there is, as you know, every day this week, we are doing a boot camp. So there's only one today, but Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there are 2 per day. And so we hope the turnaround time is, each time we turn it into our IT team, we hope they can give it back to us within a couple of days, so that we can then upload it to Canvas. So give us about a week, I say, long term, to give us some time to get it up there. So it just depends on our IT team. So just give us about a week to get them up there.
Can we repeat again for folks? Dr. Carr has assigned liaisons to the vast majority of students. If you go into IPT and you open up your IPT page, it's called the student detail page. It'll have your name on the right side. It's got your phone number and then your birth date, and under that is faculty liaison, and that person is listed there. So you should be able to see who your person is if you go to that page. If it's not there, you can certainly contact the office and they can look into it, but the vast majority have been assigned. So check that first, please.
Yeah.
Jada, you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, I just have a quick question. So I know I'm not able to attend all of them. So I just wanted to know, is it like a quiz for each session that you miss, or how does that normally work if you miss one?
Yes, so you only do the quiz for the ones that you watch online, for the videos that you watch. Those are the only ones you do the quizzes for.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And the recordings will go out to all students, right, Dr.
Yes.
Carr, not just the ones that
Yes.
didn't attend? Yeah, there was a
Correct.
question
Everybody.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you need to go back just to watch it because you need more information or, follow up or anything, absolutely, you can watch it just to watch it. But if you
And
need
will
to
they be
watch it,
emailed? Or are they just going to be on the Canvas site? Should students go to the Canvas site or should they expect to get an email?
they will be on the Canvas site. And once they are put on the Canvas site, I will send an email letting you know that they are there. Happy to do that.
And I think someone asked for clarification. I want to make sure they think that they automatically get the hours. They actually have, once their time log is uploaded, they have to go in and put in, like today was an hour and a half, for example. They have to actually put that on their time log. It doesn't automatically get populated.
Correct. Yep. And so that's why Thursday is very important, because Thursday is when you see how to fill out those forms. You see how to fill out the time log, you see how to do the learning plan, process recording, all that is clearly outlined for you on Thursday morning. Yes, Angie.
Hello. I'm so excited to begin. I'm trying to figure out what to wear and if I bring a lunch and all those kinds of things, and where to park and that I'm at a public school in Hamtramck, but I have like a notebook and a pen to bring and ID and that. Are there other things? I know you all have done practicums before that I should show up with, other than a good attitude and dress professional on that. But any recommendations about what to show up with that first day?
I think the things that you just stated are very good. I think definitely talk to your contact person or your practicum instructor and ask them prior to coming, is there anything else that you need to bring or be aware of? Because they are definitely the best person to guide you on what you would need for that first day. But the items that you suggested are definitely great.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If this helps, I was told that at my placement that they wanted me to be identifiable as a student. So they told me to bring my student ID because they were going to be giving me an ID to put on the other side of my lanyard, like the holder thing. And then they told me to bring a lunch. They told me that they dress business casual and so like pants, sweaters, that kind of thing. And they told me like I should have a like a moleskin, like you said, notebook, so that I can take notes along the way. And that and she told me to throw a pair of tennis shoes in my bag because sometimes we go for walks at lunch.
Awesome. Thank you.
Dr. Carr, I want to, someone asked a question that I hate to confuse. I just want to make sure folks don't confuse this. But first, Emma said she missed something. Are we putting hours on our log? Yes, you're putting hours in your own log, not your instructor,
Right.
Emma. So you're going to have a time log. And as Dr. Carr said, they'll go over that later in the week. But Shavante, if I said that correctly, referenced IPTV, which is something different than IPT. And I know because it sounds familiar, or yeah, it sounds familiar. And so a lot of times students get IPT and IPTV confused together. IPT, which is Intern Placement Tracking System, is this platform that we use that is a management system to track your placement. So it's and it's separate, right? It's separate than Canvas. It's that's how you access your page and how agencies can access it. So it's where you're going to have your time log and your process recordings and your learning plan and your evaluation at the end of each term in the fall and in the winter. The IPT is the system that is going to track that. It is attached to your practicum, and that's the only thing it's used for. IPTV is and I can't even remember the acronym for it, to be honest with you. I'm going to try to look it up and send it to you, but I've forgotten it. It is separate. It's part of a class that you're going to have. We participate in I think it's called interprofessional team visit, something like that. Yeah. And you're going to get information from your faculty. We work with nursing, I think, and pharmacy and allied health and med school, where you might have an assignment. This is more for BSWs usually. Sometimes MSWs have participated in the past, but I just didn't want people to confuse those two things. Here's a question that you can answer, Dr. Carr. Will there be assignments that we will be uploading into Canvas for practicum, or is it primarily all through IPT?
It's all through IPT. And so on Thursday, Nancy will go over that in more detail.
Except the quizzes are through Canvas, right?
Except for
this.
yeah, these
For
boot camp quiz, yeah. But for your practicum, the class practicum, and your assignments like the learning plan, process recording, all of that is in IPT. And she will go over all of that on Thursday. Okay. Jamie?
Yes, I have a question in regards to the IPT, the assignments that are online. Should we go ahead and start them now, or should we wait till Thursday to start them?
Well, the first assignment you have to do with your practicum instructor, which is the learning plan. So you are welcome to start that with your practicum instructor if you all are ready to do that. That's fine. You do not have to wait till Thursday to do it. But if you want more clarity and understanding on how to do it, you can wait. But it's totally up to you. But that is the first assignment, the learning plan. And then you have your process recording, that first process recording as well. So if you feel good to go with you and your practicum instructor, absolutely have at it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
I see a question from Amanda, but I'm not sure I understand your question, Amanda. You said, aside from boot camp sessions this week, is there going to be other opportunities to earn more hours toward our practicum throughout the year? Primarily, I'll let Dr. Carm respond to that, but I just want to make sure I understood your question correctly. You're talking about outside of hours in your agency when you do your 2 days a week? Yeah.
No, the boot camp is the only other opportunity outside of practicum to earn hours, extra hours or additional hours. It would just be the boot camp.
Emma asked to clarify, meetings with our liaisons do not count towards our hours?
Correct. It does not.
Unless they come to the agency, meet with you and the instructor, then they do count.
Your hours, your time with your practicum instructor, that hour, or any time with your practicum instructor, that time does count towards your hours.
I'll make a comment while we're waiting to see if there are other questions. And I'll say that everyone that's involved with your practicum is really wants you to be successful. Obviously Dr. Carr designed these to try to make sure that you have as much information as possible, but even as much information as we give you, it's still going to feel a little anxiety provoking, even as you're excited about starting your practicum. But your liaison, your practicum instructor, your faculty, your advisor, you're going to have a success coach. There are folks that are here to really help you if you encounter any issues. Obviously, you have to do the work. If you're experiencing any difficulties at all or any issues, please reach out to folks. Don't just sit back. I have students will say, I was waiting to see what would happen. Well, the longer you wait, the less options exist. The earlier you bring up concerns, the better. And they can be worked out, right? Your instructor can work with you. And I would also say, because this is not a vacuum, you're in the real world, so real world gets messy. There'll be messiness that will happen, but that's part of learning and growing and preparing for professional practice, because that's what you're going to experience when you graduate and practice in agencies. So part of working through those issues can feel a little anxiety provoking and uncomfortable. But it is part of learning. So, if you go to Dr. Carr and say, just move me, I don't want to deal with it, she's going to send you right back to your practicum instructor, because that's what should happen. You need to work that out at that level. More of that we'll talk about, but just wanted to help students just to be mindful that you're going to have support. Yeah. So do you want to talk about, you're going to talk about grades at some point. Someone asked about grades for practicum, Dr. Carr.
Yes, so the liaison will talk about grades, but the grading, grades are done by the liaison, as Dr. Anwar stated earlier. That is done at the end of the semester. So after December 20th, those will be done. It's either satisfactory, marginal, or what's the last one?
Unsatisfactory.
Unsatisfactory. Thank you. If you are not able to complete your hours, we do have an incomplete system where we do allow you some time to do that. But that's a whole nother process that you and I would, and your liaison would talk about at that time. But that is the grading system that we have for practicum. But the liaison is the one who actually gives the grade out. And feel like that's on Wednesday that that's talked about. But I might be wrong. I don't have the schedule in front of me.
Hunter, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, I asked it in the chat, but I think it got like read over. So for the boot camp, I know, like, for example, there's two Zoom meetings on Tuesday, but like I know a lot of us have class from like 8:30 until 5 on Tuesday. So I was wondering if we could attend those in class, and then follow-up question, if we don't if we're not able to watch any of the Practicum Boot Camp videos during the first week, is there a cutoff date on these videos to watch them and to earn the hours for our practicum?
No cutoff dates on the videos. You can watch them at your leisure whenever you're able to. That's why the tests are there for you to take when you can take them. Do not skip class to come to the boot camp. Please don't do that. That's why we have the videos there, so that you can, again, watch them at your leisure when you are able to. So you can watch them in the evening, on the weekend, whenever you can. Feel free to watch the video and take the test. No problem.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just didn't know if there was going to be like a cutoff date on to earn those hours or whatnot, you know.
No, I will keep them up there for you. No problem.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi there, it's Anali again. I wrote a question in the chat, but I think like Hunter's kind of got overlooked. But my line cut out just as you were answering this question for another woman in the group. But there's 3 projects that I expect to complete. I don't remember. One was the learning plan, I think she mentioned. But where do I find those 3 projects?
Oh, so as we stated before, the assignments have not been uploaded into IPT yet. So they should be
Okay.
uploaded. Yeah, so they should be uploaded tomorrow. That's probably why you don't see them. So there's more than 3. So let me let you know
Okay.
that. So you will see the learning plan is one of them, and that is the major one. So you have the learning plan, you have process recordings that you have to do, and there are several of those. There is a midterm evaluation and there is a final evaluation that needs to be done as well throughout the semester. So those are the things that you will see uploaded into IPT at some point throughout the semester. But the learning plan and the first process recording, those are the first 2 assignments that will have to be done by September 20th. And those are the due dates for those. And so tomorrow you will see those in there.
Okay, I was thinking that they were in like the Canvas thing, so I was looking. I was like, I don't see it.
Oh,
So
no.
all I saw was like the weekly reflection. So I had a little 5-second freak out. I like to call them, but thank
Yeah,
you
no,
for
no, you're good.
clarifying.
You're good. So everything for practicum will be in IPT. None of our stuff is in Canvas except for, the boot camp stuff. We're going to put that in there for you. But for our assignments, everything for practicum is in IPT. IPT is our world. Okay. So that's why, we always tell you to go to IPT. If you're having a problem with IPT, let us know, because that is your go-to. Your logs, everything is in IPT. So it just has not
Perfect.
been
Thank you.
uploaded in there yet for you. Yeah. Hunter, is that the same hand or a new hand? Okay.
My bad. I forgot to lower it. My
It's
bad.
okay. I didn't want to overlook you.
I appreciate you.
Margot.
So Dr. Char, so I was late and I apologize. I was in an interview for my practicum. Yay. Okay, so I missed the part. So where are the boot camp videos going to be? Because I already missed part of this one. They're going to be in Canvas, you said?
Yes, yes. And I will send an email out when they have been uploaded to Canvas.
Okay, and are they going to be all like dumped at the same time, or like how long will we have to wait for those?
They probably won't be all at the same time, because it just depends on when our IT team gets it back to us. So we have one today, and then there's 2
Right.
on Tuesday, 2 Wednesday, 2 Thursday. So I'm sending them to IT, as they go. So it depends on how they send them back to me and upload them in there. So I was telling everybody to kind of give us a week. If they do it quicker than that, then great. But as soon as I can get them to them and they get them back and we can put them in there, I'll let you all know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're good.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I thank you all for coming and participating. I hope to see you all again throughout the week. Again, reach out to your liaisons if you need anything. But again, I am here. Our office is here to help you at any time. And we are here to help stop the freakouts. So we are here to assist in any way possible. So thank you so much. Continue to have a great rest of your day. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Stop recording, Dr. Carr.